In case you haven't noticed, there's a pretty amazing school just on the other side of the river here. And over the last couple of years, I've been fortunate to work with ISI in uncovering these two questions. They seem very simple, but to a certain extent, they're incredibly profound. What does the future of learning look like? And can we see education as a design challenge? Right, so it's this intersection today, that's why all of us are here. All of us has accepted this invitation to be here. And for me, after practicing architecture for 20-something years, it has fundamentally shifted the way that I think from just not an architect, but as a designer. That I have to just not go deep and think about the objects, but I have to zoom out and think about the entire ecology. So here's my thesis, that because of there is a new mindset and empowerment to learning, there is an emerging beautiful ecology that's coming about and meeting the learners where they're at. But this ecology oftentimes is quiet and to most of us invisible because we are building learning physical environment that perpetuate a very different perspective and perceptions and reinforcing very specific behaviors about learning and teaching. So if we look at that last question, what is the purpose of education? I would say that for most of us, we think that education is about getting to college, right? For the most part. And we can diagram it this way. Here's us, and here's life. There's something disconnect about this two picture. Somehow, we're born outside of it. We're not connected to life. And after 1.4 million of minutes and some really awful, stressful times of taking tests, we're granted an invitation to college. And after more education, we're given a passport to life, right? So now we get to participate in life. And if you look at this picture, this could be any of us and our children, right? This is what we all experience. But I want to step back a little bit and celebrate this existing system that we have called education. There was a pretty remarkable moment in American history where we said that we're going to educate every child for free. It is our civil right to have access to education, to quality education. That is a remarkable statement. Right? Given the conversation right now about healthcare, that is a remarkable, bold move. And if you look back at the 20th century, it's been nothing less than an amazing achievement for humanity. Right? So I'm not going to be here and talk about it down, but because of that encompassing system, we had to devise assessment tools. And this dude really present that system. For our fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree. And I think all of us here, we're the monkeys. I mean, we climb right up there. The system was made for us. Right? Some of us hacked it. The birds hacked it by just flying up there. And some of us in this room is that poor fish. That poor fish is saying, WTF, what the heck is going on? Everybody wants to climb that tree. Everyone wants to climb the assessment tree. And we're paralyzed by these data, right? We basically just beat ourselves up because of these data. 2009 PISA score is a national assessment in terms of how well children are doing in math and science. And what does the environment look like? What are we building right now? If you take beautiful schools and you strip it down to its pure essence, this is the basic planning party of all of the schools being built around the world, everywhere you look. And when you step into that self-contained classroom, there is a habit, there is an expectation of where to look, because that's where the teaching wall is, and where to sit. Some of us want to sit up front. Some of us want to sit right by that door, and some of us want to sit in the back, but that habits is exactly the same everywhere. So 2004, Julian Germain started this amazing project called Classroom Portrait, right? She went around the world and took pictures of classrooms. And regardless of religion, culture, values, it looks the same everywhere. Right? You look at these faces, and some of these faces are the monkeys. Like, I know exactly what to do. But I can tell that this guy up here, he's the fish. He's like, what do I do? So I want to tell you about that beautiful ecology that I experienced as growing up. 1975, we had to leave Vietnam at the end of the war, and we landed here. This is Fort Sheffey in Arkansas. This is our camp. Apparently, this is where Elvis Presley got that famous haircut when he joined the Army. But I have to tell you that there was this incredible infrastructure and ecology that supported me, right? The first thing that my parents did when we got out of the camp was that they took money and bought us a TV, right? 75, you can tell those TV that's cladded with fake wood. Like, all of us know what that means. But, these are my friends. These are the people that taught me English, along with a few kids that I play with in the neighborhood. 2.5 months, I came back from that first year not knowing a word of English, completely fluent. Social studies, Saturday morning, American values. Right, and then when I got to high school, it was not inside the classroom, it was outside the classroom. I had this amazing calculus teacher, Mr. Gelhardt, but he was also my tennis coach. He gave us these little cards and tell us what to focus on before every match. Like, who does that? And I don't know why I still have this note slipped inside that yearbook, but he used to give us this amazing pep talk before every match. Wow, what an incredible empathy and caring from that particular teacher. When I got to college, it was not inspiring professor. It was two friends, Lori and Mark, that insisted that I would go with them to Versailles and study architecture. Paris became the rigor that forced us to do our homework every night so we can enjoy Paris. In fact, the Pompidou Center is where we used to do structural homework. So let's shift to what is the purpose of learning. Right, so think back of those kids lining up there. It's the same way that you look at these trees. This is the aspen grove. Right, but when we're talking about ecology, underneath the earth, all of the roots of these trees are all connected. It is recorded to be one of the largest living organisms on earth. And think about the fish. Think about that child. This is their natural setting. Right? And we look at our children, this is how, at its natural state, where we want to be. Right? So how can we prepare our children to be response-able rather than just to be responsible? Gilbert Tully gave us this beautiful image of what school looks like and what life looks like. Life is messy. Life is complex. Life is filled with uncertainty, and it is beautiful. And I think the shift is also, what am I going to be when I grow up? A fireman, a doctor, an architect, to what problems do I want to participate as part of a team in solving? Renewable energy, water, that little dot, that tiny little dot that you can barely see, that's the amount of fresh water we have on Earth. Think about 2050 when we're at 9 billion people. That is an amazing challenge we have to take on. And then 80% of us, by 2050, will live in mega cities. How can we rethink beautiful, human-centered, sustainable mega cities that will keep us going? So there is a new mindset emerging. Design for America. Sammy's going to come after me and talk more about that. Design for change. 30-something middle school kids making an impact on their community right now. They're unwilling to wait. Technology and the infrastructure of a new learning ecology is already there. Singularity University. Come participate as a team, create a business, innovate ideas that impact 1 billion people in a decade. 826 Valencia, a network of places in urban area that brings kids and professional writers together, disguise, embellish, to bring back a sense of joy about that learning space. 826 Valencia started in San Francisco as a pirate shop. And then business is also changing. Right? You can go to Kickstarter and use crowdsourcing to fundraise for your idea. The X Prize. How do we put a man into space without the infrastructure and resources of an entire country? And they did it. Innocentive. How can I solve really challenging scientific problems and get paid for it? So it's no longer this linear path. It is a network. It's all connected. And when you have that kind of network, PISA score again, might not be the only thing we look at. And this graph truly sort of represent a very much juxtaposed position and create lots of curiosity about why do the countries who are doing really well in the PISA score does really poorly in the entrepreneurial spirit. This innate feelings of how can I create something that's new. Right? Lots of questions are being asked about these two graphs. And how can the environment that we're building, how can the physical environment, the architecture that we're building, start to live up to this mindset, this empowerment? How can we start to deconstruct this DNA block that we've been building for the last 100 years? How can we start to create environment that connects people rather than separate them? How can we create environment that start to bring the connection to the outside? How can we start to bring transparency into the environment? Discovery, playfulness, collaboration, quiet spaces that you can work by yourself or with a smaller group. And then ultimately, joy, play. So I wanted to share a story with you to end this conversation. I was invited to a Better World by Design maybe a year ago, and there I met these incredible groups of students from Rhode Island School of Design and Browns. And this is their gift to the world and their calling and their invitation and their empowerment to say that we are no longer willing to wait until we get the passport to change the world. When I came back to Chicago, I got a note from one of the young women that I'd met there. And she said that, you know what, I made it here, but I need some time off. I need some time off to go learn. And she was asking me, if you guys are hiring, I would love to come and work with you guys. But she also gave me a way out. She said, if, just in case that you're not hiring, I have an internship at the White House. And my response to her was, well, to come work for us, the road is through the White House. And that was a parents talking. That's to say that it's not a choice, right? You go and work at the White House as an intern. We're always here. But it also brings back these questions about this young woman who spent her time going into the urban cities and teaching high school kids how to debate, organize amazing conferences that brings together innovators and designers from around the country to participate in the Better World by Design, intern at the White House. And I asked my partners in the studio, are we willing to invite these people into our working culture without that passport? Right? So how do we activate it? We activate it through us. It's you, me, it's everybody in here that owns a business. Because once we're willing to invite these young people into our working lives and culture, without that passport, we would have forever changed the game, changed the rules, and we would have changed the world. Thank you.